Walter had just contacted his teacher, Tristan Gabriel, on a video call to help decide who was right about the antique box, him or Kevin. Everyone in the store was very impressed to see that Walter actually knew the most prominent antique appraiser in the country. Then one of them realized that Kevin was the guy that they'd heard about who married into the Jones family to sponge off of them. Walter smiled smugly. At first, he thought that Kevin might be some kind of genius at antique appraisal. But if what everyone was saying was true, he didn't have anything to worry about. He started to feel even more contempt for Kevin. "Kevin, what are you doing?" Lily tugged on her husband's sleeve to try and get him to back down. But Kevin waved Lily off casually. He picked up the box and held it so that it would show up clearly on Walter's phone. Walter saw that Kevin actually wanted his teacher to get a good look and started to worry that maybe he'd made a mistake. But the onlookers didn't realize what was going on. They thought that Kevin was just acting foolish and would soon be put in his place. Walter began to wonder if Kevin knew something that he didn't. Then Kevin spoke directly to the camera. "Tristan, open your eyes and take a good look at the box. You can see that it probably belonged to the French nobility in the 14th century. My guess is it was involved in a marriage proposal. Don't you think so?" Then he said very impolitely, "Or do you need to get new glasses?" "Kevin, don't be so rude. How can you speak to Mr. Gabriel like that?" Truman was shocked at Kevin's behavior. Walter got angry too. "Who do you think you are, Kevin? Nobody talks to Mr. Gabriel that way." The rest of the onlookers were also taken aback. How could Kevin be so disrespectful to a national expert? But what they heard next surprised them even more. "Is that you, Kevin? Kevin Williams?" Gabriel became very excited and said, "I'm sorry I didn't notice it was you. Walter, what kind of cheap cell phone are you using? Can't you get a clearer image? I can barely see anything." Walter couldn't believe what he was hearing. His phone was brand new and top of the line, but he didn't dare correct his mentor. "Are you sure it's not a crack in your screen? I remember you were always dropping your phone." Kevin was chatting with him like they were old friends, and the onlookers were dumbfounded. Truman was absolutely speechless as he tried to figure out how Kevin knew the man. And Lily stared at Kevin, wondering how many other things he hadn't told her. "I know what you mean. I'll be more careful about that, buddy." Gabriel replied to Kevin like there was no difference in age between them. None of the other people in the store understood what was going on, especially Walter. He looked at Kevin in disbelief. He'd been studying with Tristan Gabriel for almost 8 years, and he'd never seen anything like this. "Sorry to have bothered you with this, my friend. I'll call you back when we have more time to chat." Then Kevin disconnected the call on Walter's phone. He handed the phone back to him and put the box back on the counter. Then he picked up the rag and wiped the box a little more, revealing the intricate details of the carvings for everyone to see. "What are you all looking at? Do I have spinach in my teeth or something?" Kevin felt everyone's eyes on him as they tried to grasp what they just witnessed. Was Kevin just as good as Tristan Gabriel? It certainly sounded like it. Kevin shook his head as he thought about how he knew Tristan. When he was a child, his family was really close to the Finch family and especially to Frederick Finch. So he ended up living with their family and studying with them for almost 8 years. Gabriel trained under Frederick much later. Frederick liked Kevin a lot and recognized his raw talent, so he helped him develop and hone his abilities. Since Kevin had met Frederick before him, Gabriel jokingly treated the young man like an older brother. "So, Truman, do you still want to buy this medieval ivory box?" Kevin asked with a smile. "Of course I'll buy it," Truman replied excitedly. Now that he knew more about the box, he was tempted to keep it as a family heirloom. It would be a shame to turn around and sell it. "Mr. Jordan, are you asking the same price?" Truman hesitated now that everyone was certain that they were looking at an extremely valuable antique. "Of course I am. I gave you my word, didn't I? 2 million, no more, no less." Mr. Jordan was also very excited. The other antique experts in the room were a little jealous of Truman, but not too upset because they wouldn't have been able to afford a $2 million purchase anyway. Their shops weren't doing nearly as well as Anderson Antiques. Kevin looked at Mr. Jordan and gave him a nod of approval. He could easily have tried to increase the price after finding out the true value of the item, but he didn't. "Well, my wife and I came here to do some antiquing. I guess we'll go take a little stroll." Kevin took Lily's hand and started to walk towards the door. But Lily didn't say anything more. She just gave Kevin a wink. Everyone stared at Kevin in absolute awe. They definitely wanted to follow him around. If he was interested in anything in one of the local shops, it was guaranteed that it wouldn't be junk. Kevin realized he needed to get rid of the group so he and Lily could wander more freely. "I think I saw some Chicago Cubs autographed baseballs in the store halfway down the block. It looks like they're only asking for half of what they're worth." As soon as the words came out of his mouth, the whole group practically sprinted for the door. Phoebe's father looked a little concerned. "Don't worry, Truman. They're asking for half of what they're worth, but I know they only paid half of what they're asking. The store will get a hefty profit, and so will everyone else." Kevin smiled reassuringly. Truman Anderson didn't know what to say for a moment. When Kevin and Lily left the shop, Truman sighed with relief, but also a little disappointment. Kevin seemed to have become a gifted appraiser. With training from Frederick Finch, he was far superior to any other young appraisers in the country, let alone in the city of Chicago. Unfortunately, Kevin was already married, and Truman would never want to see his daughter break up a marriage. "Truman, what's the matter with you? You need to let your children find their own way to happiness. There are some things you can't do anything about." Mr. Jordan seemed to be reading Truman's mind. "You're right, but it's tough to let go." Truman shook his head and put the thought out of his mind. When Kevin and Lily walked out of the antique shop, Phoebe and Walter followed closely behind them. "What else can I do for you, Phoebe?" Kevin asked with a smile. "Thank you so much for all your help today. Can I treat you to dinner?" Phoebe really wanted to spend more time with Kevin. "I'm sorry, Phoebe, but I have plans today. Let's get together another time." Since the Night King was coming that evening, Kevin had to buy him the antique sword that was in one of the shops down the street. "I guess we can try another time," Phoebe said nonchalantly. As Walter stood there watching them talk, he wasn't jealous at all. Even his own teacher had been showing respect to Kevin. On top of that, Walter really wanted to get to know Kevin so he could benefit from his advice. "Honey, what do you have going on? I thought we were going antiquing." Lily was unsure about Kevin's plans. "I found out that there's an antique sword next door, and it's really interesting. I decided to go and have a look, and if the price is right, I plan to buy it." Kevin was being deliberately secretive. When it concerned the Night King and the Alliance, the less people knew, the better. "Let's go over and take a look together. I'd like to learn as much from you as I can." Walter was sincerely interested. After all, if he didn't have an inquisitive mind, Gabriel wouldn't have taken him on as a student. "Okay, let's go see if they have anything interesting." Kevin nodded his head lightly and led the group into the antique shop next door. As soon as they entered the shop, they could tell it was different from the other antique stores in the neighborhood. Everywhere you looked, there were antique weapons, swords, daggers, shields, pikes, helmets. It was an impressive collection. Some of them were very rare, but a lot of the items would only appeal to very specific tastes. The owner was a thin, middle-aged man who was dozing by the counter. Kevin took Lily's hand and scanned the shop. Finally, his eyes fell on a rusty antique sword that was missing its scabbard. "I'd like to see that sword, sir." Kevin knocked on the counter several times with his knuckles to wake the man up. $400,000, the man announced as he yawned. "400,000 for what? Can't we have a look at it?" Walter asked in surprise. "I'm not in the mood right now." The owner didn't seem to like dealing with the public. "Is that how you do business?" Walter was a young and energetic man, and he was getting very angry at the poor service. Kevin gestured at Walter to calm down, and then he spoke to the man with a smile. "Okay, 400,000. Now it's going to cost you 800,000. The man glanced at Kevin with a twinkle in his eye. Is that how you do business? We're willing to spend $400,000 and then you double the price? Phoebe was becoming irate. That's right. What kind of place is this? Lily took Kevin's hand and pulled him toward the door. Honey, let's go. Well, as the saying goes, you shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth. You're training in herbal medicine, aren't you? Well, my swords are only for customers who are ready to use them. I don't let them go very easily. That makes sense. $800,000 then? Kevin agreed with a broad smile. Kevin! Phoebe was shocked. Honey! Lily was surprised too. They were afraid that Kevin was being cheated. Walter couldn't speak at all. He just stared blankly at Kevin. Why are you buying this sword? The man asked Kevin unemotionally. Well, I think you're right, Kevin replied matter-of-factly. Since your swords are only for those with talent and ability, I'll let the sword judge me. The shop owner took a long, hard look at Kevin, then he turned around and took the sword off the shelf and put it on the counter. As Phoebe and Walter looked closely at the sword, they seemed a bit disappointed in its condition. Kevin stretched out his hand and trapped the sword with his fingers. The metal seemed to vibrate like a tuning fork, and it took a long time for the tone to dissipate. It's a good sword. I'll take it. Kevin pulled his black bank card out and placed it on the counter. When he saw the black card, Walter took a deep breath. Now he realized that Kevin had to be loaded. And Walter felt really ashamed about his first impression of Kevin. He was as wrong as he could be. No, you don't choose the sword. The sword chooses you. The man pulled out a long wooden box and placed the sword in it. Why are you doing that, sir? Kevin asked with a smile. Well, you said that you'd let the sword judge you. Let's see what happens. He pushed the box towards Kevin and then he sat back in his chair. I've had enough of this. Let's go, honey. Lily tried to pick up the big box so they could leave, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't even move it. By now, Phoebe and Walter were starting to see how unique this sword was. I told you that my swords are only for those who are ready for them. Weren't you listening? Then the man closed his eyes again. I'll try. Kevin, who was very motivated to have the sword, concentrated his strength. When he put his hand on the wooden box, the store's owner suddenly opened his eyes and a slight smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. All of a sudden, the expression on Kevin's face began to change. He started to feel a bit of a shiver and goosebumps started to pop up on his arms. The wooden box vibrated for a moment. Thank you, sir, Kevin suddenly exclaimed. Now, please leave. You've interrupted my nap. When they got outside, they found a place to eat and then drove down to Navy Pier to walk around and have a little fun. Finally, after Walter left with Phoebe, Kevin and Lily went to see a movie before returning home. It had probably been the most enjoyable day they'd spent since they got married. But before he could sleep, Kevin wanted to know more about the antique sword he just bought. I had a really nice time with you. I've missed this. Do you want to come in? Lily smiled as she looked into Kevin's eyes. Standing outside of Lily's front door, Kevin took a deep breath. I wish that I could stay with you, but there's something that I have to do. Lily pursed her perfect lips. What could be more important than you and me? Kevin stepped forward. I'm doing this so that there can be a you and me. Seeing Lily's eyes well with tears, Kevin placed his strong hand on her soft cheek. I promise that it will all make sense to you one day. Before Lily could respond, Kevin turned around and left her apartment, grasping the box containing the antique sword he just purchased. 10 minutes later, Kevin got to his apartment at Corwin Tower pretty quickly because traffic on Lakeshore Drive was so light this late at night. As soon as he got off his private elevator, he saw a shadowy figure sitting on the sofa. Who's that? Kevin's whole body suddenly tensed and he reached into his jacket to pull out the night dagger. He couldn't see who was there, but someone had broken into his home. Kevin hit the light switch, ready to take on the intruder. The Night King stood up from the couch and turned toward Kevin. That's no way to greet your mentor. Why are you so surprised? I told you I'd be here tonight, didn't I? Why didn't you tell me you'd let yourself in? I thought you were a burglar." Kevin relaxed and put his dagger away. "In the 2 minutes since you came in, you've had 10 chances to see me." The Night King scolded Kevin. "Have you already forgotten what I told you?" "You taught me to be alert and to respond firmly." Kevin didn't show any signs of weakness when he replied. The Night King nodded. "You're right. Now, have you brought something for me?" Kevin rubbed his head and tossed the wooden box on the floor. The Night King immediately stepped toward it and smashed it open with his foot. He quickly picked up the sword and held it up in the light. "Yes, it's a decent little weapon," the Night King commented as he examined it. "You haven't told me what the sword is for." Kevin had been feeling drawn to the weapon ever since he touched it at the antique shop, but it was in horrible condition, more like a piece of scrap metal. The Night King seemed to read Kevin's mind. "The name of this sword is Cold Arrow." As he finished saying this, he slammed the sword against the fireplace mantle and all the rust instantly fell away. Before Kevin could react, the Night King took his hand and cut it with the blade of the sword. Kevin's blood immediately gushed out and splashed on the cold metal. "What are you doing?" Kevin had no idea what was going on and tore part of his shirt to stop the flow of blood from his cut. Thanks to his improved healing, the wound clotted up very quickly. "This sword has been dormant for so many years. It needed some blood to wake it up." The Night King pointed towards the sword, which was now glowing the same deep red shade as Kevin's blood. Taking a deep breath, Kevin looked at his healed wound. "And now that it has absorbed my blood, this sword will answer only to me." "Exactly." The Night King nodded as he solemnly placed the sword into Kevin's hand. Kevin was still stupefied by this unusual ceremony. "Well, may I ask what's going on?" "Are you sure you really want to know?" The Night King stared into Kevin's eyes and asked him, "Haven't you noticed anything at all strange lately?" Kevin understood right away what the Night King was talking about. He put down his sword and turned toward his mentor. "Something powerful is happening in Chicago." "You truly are more clever than any man that I have ever met before. Tell me what you found out." The Night King walked confidently back to the sofa and sat down. Kevin started to list all the recent events that he'd witnessed. The appearance of the Myriads, the Alliance, the School for the Healing Arts, all the powerful and rich showing up in Chicago with very advanced training in herbalism and martial arts. It's like there's a storm brewing. "You're right." The Night King immediately interrupted Kevin before he could finish what he was saying. "It's time to let you know a few things. That way you can start preparing early. This may just save your life." The Night King spoke casually, but Kevin could tell that he was very serious. "There are good and bad forces at work, and they're converging on the city. You've found your way into 3 of the organizations, but there are many more." The Night King paused for a moment while he thought about what to say next. "Sometimes, someone comes along whose entire body, right down to their DNA, is open to vast improvements." "That someone is me," Kevin whispered to himself. The Night King smiled. "For your entire life, people have recognized your potential. Frederick Finch taught you to appreciate history. Your teachers knew that you sometimes didn't put in the effort to succeed as you should have, and I saw your potential too." "Do you mean I'll be part of this battle that's coming?" Kevin asked again. "There's something unique about your DNA that's left you open to much quicker and greater changes than other people. The pills that you've been working on are more than just herbal supplements. There are chemicals in the natural world that modern chemists and drug manufacturers haven't dreamed of. You're already very different from the man you were when your friend gave you your first power pill. That's why you can heal so quickly and help others to heal too. You're unlocking your true potential." It started to make sense to Kevin. His hearing and eyesight already seemed sharper, and he'd gotten far stronger than he should have for the effort he was putting in. He definitely felt different lately. Chicago is going to become the first battlefield of a great struggle, the Night King said thoughtfully. We're going to fight a war. Kevin braced himself as he realized what this could mean. It will be a difficult struggle, and there's no guarantee of victory. The forces we'll face have been underground for a long time, waiting to pounce. The Night King's face turned grim. Kevin had been wondering for a long time why so many odd things had been happening in his city. The Night King walked over to the small cocktail bar in the corner of Kevin's living room and poured himself a shot of liqueur. He took a sip and continued to explain Kevin's purpose. Today, although science and technology are developing rapidly, the quickest way to prepare is the path that you've already taken. A lot of people are going to depend on you, and it's only going to get stranger from here on out. Kevin felt a cold shiver run through his body. But don't worry, Kevin. Even the darkest forces that we face don't have the advantages that you do. Not even your own relatives in the Williams family. Don't forget that your DNA also comes from your mother's side of your family. You're like a sponge for the herbal concoctions you've been making and the ones that you'll be able to make. And you won't face all of this alone. The Night King let out a sigh after he said this. For a moment, Kevin felt like someone was watching the two of them, even though they were on the top floor of one of the tallest buildings in Chicago. He tried to shake off the feeling. After hearing everything that the Night King had told him, Kevin felt a little numb. No anger at what some people were planning and no joy at finding out just how different he was, just numb. The Night King was still standing in the middle of the living room while Kevin looked at the floor and tried to process all of it. Why can't both sides just talk it over? I'd hate for innocent people to get hurt. Kevin couldn't help wondering out loud.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.